past about getting these grants through in a timely and positive fashion through the city. So when we started working together with Dante's Partners, Alex is the person that we reached out to. Coming straight off of Symphony and DC Major, we've sort of, the same team that worked on that public art piece got back together to work on this one.
We're also working with Mount Vernon CID. We've provided about $20,000 in donations for the maintenance of the public space around the building and also the reservation park that is not towards the end of the building. So we are working with them as well. We're not just working with them on the artwork.
Are you competing for the same money that the other group is, or this is separate?
I think so. It's the same.
It's the same money, yeah.
Same
I
grant,
wouldn't
yeah.
call it competition.
Yeah.
The city, the DC, the Commission on the Arts and Humanities has an enormous grant budget, and it's never used to 100%. A lot of money sits there that people don't
So is
apply
it
for.
possible that both can get
It's
a grant?
100% very likely that.
And if you get it there, can I trade that yellow thing on 5th and Cape?
Is,
The skateboard ramp, you know what I'm talking about?
who's gonna maintain it?
So the developers will maintain the piece in coordination with the artists. So any sort of maintenance needs, there's an agreement between them and the artist for a certain number of years, and then after that, it would fall back to the developers. But in theory, Zach builds work that requires little maintenance.
All right, any other questions? Well, I would like to make a motion that ANC 60 support this application and communicate it to the DC Commission on the Arts and the Humanities.
Second.
I'll give it to Commissioner Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir, so much. Well, you know, it looks like hopefully we'll get some art in the MVT, whether it's on the west side or the east side. So good luck to you guys both.
Guys,
Thank
we
you.
have a grant right now, so that'll be, we came to you last year
Oh,
for
perfect.
a letter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Installed later this year.
Great, great. All right, thanks, guys. All right, I know it doesn't seem like it, but we made it through the bigger parts of the agenda. These next ones, we're gonna plow through them like crazy. Can somebody tell Commissioner Padro he can come back? All right, next up is Prather's on the Alley. Do we have anybody from Prather's on the Alley? All right, this is a bar in my SMD. I don't believe there are any issues from the alcohol committee, so I'd just like to quickly make a motion that ANC 60 support the renewal of Prather's on the Alley's Class C restaurant license and communicate that to the ABRA board.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Padro. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next up, we have Leon in Commissioner Niagara's district.
Hello. Fly now. So, hello. Thanks for having me back. My name's Glenn Edwards. I'm from the UK and representing a UK business, Leon. We're just about to open our second restaurant here in the district, so we chose DC over the whole of the US. So we're on L Street at our first restaurant. Our second restaurant is the great development, 655 New York Avenue. So mixed use, office space, a lot of really beautiful row houses regenerated into this amazing building. We was at the ABRA committee last week, and I think we had acceptance, which is great. We're applying for a Class C license, and essentially we're a good natural fast food restaurant / fast casual. We've got a very simple alcohol offer. We're offering locally brewed in cans, 2 or 3 beers, 1 wine and 1 cider. So a very simple offer. It's incremental to ourselves, and in the UK where we sell alcohol, it's certainly less than 1% of our revenue. So we're literally anticipating probably that $500 a week in alcohol sales. We want to sell alcohol because it's important to incremental sale. It's past 6 o'clock, I want something to eat, I want to have a beer with it. We won't be selling alcohol without food, and I think in answer to a question that came up earlier about 7-Eleven, how many people in store at any one time, our minimum is generally about 5, but certainly early evening it will be up to 7 or 8, at lunchtime 7, 8, 10. And I think the other important consideration is our closing times are 10 p.m. So we're not a 24-hour business, we're not noisy, we're not rowdy, we don't disco. But so it's a very simple alcohol offer, which I'm looking for your support on.
Great. Any concerns from the alcohol committee?
No, we communicated with Commissioner Nigro, and the committee recommended that if she had no concerns that needed to be addressed in a settlement agreement, that we recommended that the full commission support the application.
Commissioner
Great.
Negro,
Yeah, we don't have any concerns. We're good.
want to make the motion?
Yep. So I move that ANC 6E support the Class C license for Leon Restaurant at, is it 655 New York Avenue? What's your official?
The development's called 655
Yeah, I know
New York
that,
Avenue.
but you guys,
Our address is technically,
Okay.
and we had to reactivate 649 New York Avenue.
okay, so at 649 New York Avenue, and we address that to Abra.
Great, thank you.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks for your
Thank you
support.
so much.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to opening. All right, now we're going to have a brief presentation from Georgetown University in Gonzaga about the development at 55 H Street, which is in Commissioner Rogers' district. They will be giving us a brief presentation, and they will be coming back requesting a vote.
Very brief.
Yep.
We want to answer all your questions, but be very, very brief.
Excellent.
I'm Chris Murphy, it's my colleague Gina Black, we're both from Georgetown. We're here to share with you some plans that we're working on with Gonzaga at 55 H Street, as Commissioner Marriott said. It's the block of H Street, obviously between North Capitol and New Jersey. Right now, you may be familiar with it as a parking lot, and so we're hoping to activate the block and try to provide more continuity here between the various buildings, so you won't have to walk by an empty space. This is being proposed as a dormitory for students. Unclear right now the mix between graduate and undergraduates, but as you may know, our Law Center campus is just a little bit farther south in ANC 6C. We've got a great relationship with them. Worked hard to have a great relationship with our ANC in Georgetown and West as well. So we would anticipate that at least initially it would be primarily focused on grad students. We also bought a building at 500 First Street that the Bureau of Prisons is vacating that will house a lot of our policy school as well. So that might be an opportunity to turn it over to Gina to kind of walk you through the design. And we had more slides, but I know the technological limitations made it harder, but maybe that's a good thing tonight. So Gina, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Great to be here. So on the first floor, as Chris said, we're looking to activate the streetscape. So we will have student amenity space and then retail space. Sorry to not present to the commissioners. The existing, okay. I don't usually have Vanna before me. So the existing drive, the just north is up for this, and the Gonzaga football field is here. There's an existing curb cut and drive that we will continue to use. There will be a very modest amount of parking for staff on the site and a fairly significant number of bicycles for storage for our students. So we're still in early phases of design. We're thinking that the mix will be all apartment style and up to 500 students with also faculty in residence, a chaplain in residence, and a residence hall director, as is pretty typical in our student residence halls. So we have some office space and then, as I said, amenity space for students and a modest retail component on the first floor. The typical floors above are a mix of studio through 4-bedroom apartments, all single bedrooms for the students because there will be upperclassmen and women, and then common kitchens and lounge space for the students. It is anticipated that the building will be 11 stories tall with a penthouse, and so the top floor penthouse sets back as per all of the requirements, and then would have a fitness center and lounge for the students. A courtyard in the back, and a smaller, more contemplative courtyard as well, with likely photovoltaic and a green roof on the top. So we have an early,
And we should just emphasize, we will be back when we file with the zoning commission, which we've not, we just filed a notice of intent, so the actual application is for permit.
and we have a very early, very early drawing about what the 8th Street facade would look like.
The worst easels of all time.
Those are
Fine,
our
that's what's
easels.
back there.
Those are our
I have
easels.
better ones in my office.
So, very early drawing of the 8th Street elevation, as we're still in early concept design. So, with that, I'll open it up in case there are any questions.
Well, the buildings look sturdy, so it's a very good thing. Do we have any questions from the commission? How about anybody from the audience? Excellent. Well, listen, thank you guys so much
Great,
for
thank you.
coming.
Thank
and,
you. Thank you for your
And I
time.
look forward to seeing you guys come back. Excellent. All right, 1212 4th Street.
Dr. Buckeye? Alan, I don't know what Alan looks like.
Yep.
So this is in my area, this is the most exciting thing, period. I see one constituent, anyone else from 4th Street? I see one constituent. Oh, hi. So just real brief for my constituents, or for familiar, but for the rest of y'all, this project development has been trying to get off the ground for literally 8 years?
Yes.
8 years. I've known Dr. Buckeye for 8 years. And so hopefully with this addition here, it will finally take off. So we're very excited. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm Alan Zapatka,
Hi, Al.
with Christian Zapatka Architect, and yeah, this is our design proposal to design a new building right here for the corner of 4th and Ridge Streets, and then to restore this building, to renovate it, and then to add to the back as well as to the top. So there'll be a total of 5 units here and 6 in here. And then this is a site plan right here. This is the existing condition in the red, and you can see there are 2 garages that will be raised. And then here's the new proposal. That existing building is restored, but it's added onto here. And then this is a new building right here. Currently, it's 40% lot coverage, and we're proposing 60% with 6 parking spaces. This is a typical plan, right here, first floor plan. And there will be 3 addresses, 1212, which is there right now, 1216, and then the new 1218. And the idea of 1216 will actually be a single family residence. And then 1212 is multi-family. And then, as I said before, there are 4 units in 1212, 1 whole unit, 1216, and then 6 in the new building. So those are the plans. And as you see, this 3D rendering right here, and then street elevations. And the idea is that it would be 34 feet tall, so just under the 35-foot height limit. And we think it will work well with the neighbors, fit in. So.
Any of my constituents in the audience have questions or concerns?
What's the mix of bedroom units?
It's single family, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms.
How many of each?
Let's see. So on this first floor, this is a 1 bedroom. Sorry. That's a 1 bedroom right here, 1 bedroom. This is, as I said before, single family residence, so it's actually a duplex with a, you walk up, there's 1 bedroom here, another one here, and there's an internal stair to a third level with a third bedroom. So there are 3 bedrooms in that one. On the second floor, there are 2 bedrooms, and again, when you go to the third level here, there'll be outdoor terraces right here, and you can kind of see right there. So there are extra bedrooms for the top.
Is the plan for them to be condominiums or apartments?
Not yet determined.
I thought you had told me condos. That's what Kristen told me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea, but it's.
So why would you change?
That's the idea, yeah.
Okay,
condos.
condos, yes, no?
Yeah, yes.
Is it up to Dr. Buckeye,
I
or,
mean,
right? So
that's
Dr.
what-
Buckeye, you gonna have condos or rentals?
Not really fully decided whether we're going to have rentals or, but mostly we'll be looking towards like.
Towards what?
Is looking at students as the tenants?
Students?
Because this is what Christian told me, that these were gonna be, high-priced condos. Am I wrong?
No, that sounds correct.
I think.
Because that's not what students can afford, and plus you charge for the parking space out back, you're talking probably over, well, $600,000 each, so, at least. Is this
Sure.
not right?
It's possible that there might be rentals in one building, condos in the others, but that's, for the new building, we're clearly aiming at condos here. Definitely for this one, for 1216, and then this is possible apartments, but, so.
So when would we know that? I mean, I thought this was a done deal with the condos. When would you know, Dr. Buckeye? When are you gonna make that decision?
The sooner we have what we really asking for has been approved, I think we're going to do the best we can to do it. So when we really think about it to satisfy
Because it's, I'll be frank with you, because we have gone on about this lot for 8 years, okay? So this is, we are done, right? We are done with this project. And so when there's indecisiveness about what is gonna be there, my constituents and I do not appreciate it. As you know, there are things that happen in that empty lot right now. There's some criminal activity, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to make some really good decisions what's gonna happen with this project on behalf of all my constituents. Correct?
Absolutely, I mean, it makes sense that they would be condos, just because this neighborhood is getting.
There's your money,
more and
Dr.
more
Buckeye.
valuable.
We talked about in the past, you want all those units in the past that didn't pan out. If you want your top dollar, make them condos.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, that's the God honest truth. So,
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Are you seeking any BZA relief for this project, or no?
No.
Right.
No BZA relief needed.
And then, just then stylistically, what is that bump on that, I guess, rightmost row house?
This
That
right
seems,
here.
yeah, what is that, yeah?
It's kind of this turret, it may be linked to this unit right here, the top story, that it would have private access to
It's
that.
essentially blocking.
It's not very tall, because it's in perspective, it seems taller than it is, but it would be like 6 feet tall. It's just to kind of hold the corner, it's a decorative element. And
So are you here for historic,
Yeah.
for HPRB?
that's our next step. I mean, we've already met with HPRB, and they gave us some general
And is
guidelines.
Brendan stylistically okay with that? I mean, I think it's fine, I mean, if it's okay.
but
That's our next step.
aren't you guys going before historic later this month?
Yes, we're
Correct.
going,
Okay.
so, July
25th.
25th, so
So your hearing is July 25th.
that's right.
Then are you seeking ANC, are you seeking ANC support for the historic preserve?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing we're voting on for this
Okay.
project, period. We don't have to do zoning for this one.
Commissioner Pondero, you were at the zoning committee meeting. I'm not totally following a few of these conditions?
Sure, so there were a couple of issues that we had outlined and asked for some further clarity on. One was a mix of the brick colors. So if you didn't hand out anything, so if you could actually share that, bring that over so the commission can actually look at it. Thank you. Hand it to us. So we can take a look at that. So that the architect actually prides himself on brickwork, so we wanted to see how he's intermixing the different brick colors there, so there's an attractive pattern, so that was one of the issues we were looking at. Also, to distinguish the historic building from the new construction, there was a question about whether or not there needed to be some kind of additional parapet or something for these balconies over the historic properties. What was the decision on that?
The decision there was to set it back, so originally the terrace would go all the way out, but now we pushed it back, so that there's just roof there for maintenance
So how
purposes.
far back is that?
It's half that distance, so it's 8 feet deep, the terrace, and then 8 feet for the roof.
And then the last issue was related to the curb cuts on Ridge Street. There are currently 2 curb cuts that will be consolidated into one curb cut. Generally, the Historic Preservation Review Board is loath to make any changes related to curb cuts, so wants to try to keep existing curb cuts in place, but the committee did make the recommendation that we support that with the understanding that it is a net reduction in terms of curb cuts from 2 to 1.
Okay.
So those were the.
Well, they get the six parking spots too, that's great.
Yeah, so the one curb cut
Yes.
would lead to the parking spaces. So that, those were the recommendations for the committee. But overall, the committee wanted to praise the architects for the elegance of their design and for coming up with something that's compatible both with historic fabric as well as with the adjacent buildings.
Great, thank you.
So Dr. Barb, I have one more question for you. So is there a person in the house currently or not? There seems to be some confusion.
There's really not people living there now.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm positive.
Can you secure the property for me?
Yes, we're trying to get a guy that we are hoping will take over.
What guy? What do you mean by that? Because here's the thing, we are worried about that person that has been there, floating in and out, et cetera, et cetera. So, secure the property.
Mostly if he finds out that there are people around the area that are not supposed to be around that area.
Is this your relative? I mean, is it empty?
No, it's not empty.
So is it your relative who is there now?
It's a guy that we know him for a long time, that place has
Is it
been.
the guy that's been around for the past couple months? Or
Yes.
not, they're the same, or who are we talking about?
The one that is there presently is the same guy that has been there for some time, and he's in between. back
He's
and
in
forth.
between?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So my constituents and I, as you know, are watching that property. So when we see criminal activity, when stuff
Yes,
happens, I'm engaging with the commander. Any sort of nonsense that comes from that property, it'll end. So, do you understand?
Yes, we're going to do the best we can.
And I want you to explain it to that person that's there. Right?
Right.
Okay? Because I will have the commander and the captain on this property, like you just do not know. I do not need my constituents afraid about something that might be coming from that property. You understand?
It should have been here tonight, but I don't know why.
I will just alert the commander again to be aware of what's going on this property.
Would you like to make a motion?
I will, okay. I move that 6E support the historic preservation application for 1212 4th Street Northwest, and we, what do we say, write that towards HPRB.
Yep.
Send it.
Wait, and what kind of
Can I make
No
a quick
BZA,
question
we're not doing
real
BZA,
quick?
yes.
Go back to the weird bump. I'm looking at it, something that's.
Wait, let's just before we.
Oh, and then you want, and to
let's cover
include, and
these.
to include.
So we got the curb cut exemption. herbal exemption requirement.
Support for the consolidation of the curb
Yep.
cuts.
Is that it? Do we want to do anything with, that it's settling that it's condos? Or
No, we
that's
can't
not
tell them that.
development
All right.
use isn't.
Yeah.
then we'll just do the curb cut consolidation. All right, I will second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimously. If you can answer that, if you can ask them like on their way out.
Is it possible to put something in the vote that a concern was expressed with respect to that seemingly tall bump on the building? My question is, has a staff report already been issued, supported one, or are you still working
Sorry,
on it?
in terms of bump,
So we, Howard Marks,
Howard?
are you referring to the bump in plan?
This one right here, the parapet wall or something like this.
Okay,
Is this what you're talking
I'm on track.
so Mr. Marks, I apologize, because we're getting short on time, I'm gonna have to give you a hard 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that should be more than
Perfect, thank you, sir. Again, sorry that we're kind of crunched today.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Howard Marks. I live at the residence at Gallery Place, next to your ANC here. I'm representing an organization called DC Harmony. DC Harmony is an organization made up of professionals, of residents throughout the district, of parents, teachers, students, all very concerned about the problem that we're facing with loud noise in the district, mainly emanating from street musicians. We have no intention of shutting down these musicians. We want them to follow a reasonable standard that will allow people that live in the district, generally near metro stations. So if any of you live near a metro station, or you walk to the Chinatown Gallery Place Metro, if you go to Metro Center, if you go to Farragut North or Farragut West, or Union Station or Eastern Market, you're going to be faced with this gauntlet of sound. And this sound is just not a nuisance. The World Health Organization has concluded that it's one of the most major health crises facing the world today. Not only the fact that people are now subject increasingly to loss of hearing, as not only older people, but younger people too are losing their hearing because of this constant din of noise that we face daily. I myself suffer from a condition called tinnitus. Tinnitus is ringing of the ears because of the fact that I am exposed to this noise daily. Chances are that my hearing will deteriorate, and I may not be able to hear my grandchildren when they get older. So I admit I have a personal stake in trying to get this ANC to support the Amplified Noise Amendment Act of 2019 that was introduced by Chairman Mendelson, that has the support of Councilwoman Mary Che, Ward 3, from my own councilman, Jack Evans, Ward 2, from Anita Bonds, at-large councilwoman who represents, and I see Ibrahim out there, he knows that represents the interest of senior citizens throughout the district. I also supply to, not only are we facing this noise, as we've been measuring it. It is the equivalent, outside of my condo on 7th Street, equivalent to a chainsaw or a stationary locomotive going 55 miles per hour from noon to 10 p.m. daily. We heard earlier about the discussion of the 7-Eleven, about the noise curfew that goes into effect at 10 p.m. We have this constant in 7 days a week. We have a girl who lives in our building, a student, who's physically challenged,
she needs to hear the sound of the typewriter, of the keys on her computer in order to type. She has some sort of disorder. She can't hear those because of the constant din of the chainsaw, the locomotives. We are asking you, ladies and gentlemen of this ANC, to support this sensible noise amendment law, proposed law, that be transmitted to Councilman Allen. We're hoping to get action before the council adjourns on July the 15th. I just got back from San Francisco. San Francisco has a very stringent noise ordinance. I was on Market Street, the major street that runs through the city of San Francisco. There were thousands last Saturday night of tourists and locals. Not a single noise musician group on the street of the city of San Francisco, which has many of the same characteristics as our city. So I'm on bended knee to ask your indulgence to support this legislation. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions.
Well, 30 seconds left to spare. Do we have any questions from the commission?
Yes. Y'all requested a time limit for that noise have to stop. 10 o'clock curfew, 9 o'clock or what?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, the city has a citywide noise curfew that runs from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. daily. And much to the credit of the Metropolitan Police, I know they get beaten up a lot, they rigidly enforce that curfew.
So what's the time limit there on Chinatown?
It's citywide, so it's whether it's here in Ward 6 or whether it's in Ward 2, that these musicians must stop at 10 p.m. and that is enforced. Now we would love to have it maybe moved up earlier if we could, but currently it's 10 p.m.
Question, United House of Prayer has an annual service on M Street. It's about 1 hour in the month of August. We use amplification. How would that affect that annual service in the street?
Not at all. I mean, we're talking about basically standing up a standard of reasonableness that groups that are exercising their freedom of religion, and I know that's important. That's the centerpiece of the House of Prayer, and you do such great work there. They're not affected by this legislation. Neither are people out to picket.